What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Don Keep It Going Charles, back at it with another video. I appreciate the views people watched last night about the controversial loss with the UFC, uh, one of the UFC female fighters out there, but appreciate it. But I just want to get into the topic. I kind of got an idea a little bit. Make sure this doesn't go crazy. But it's gonna. I think I might just title it not the American Dream, but my American Dream. Um, to be honest, when so when we hear or talk about the American Dream, we normally basically white picket fence and all this stuff in a big house and things of that nature. But honestly, we all know that's kind of a fantasy. It is and it's not a fantasy. And first off, I wanted to destroy this illusion of, when people say immigrants are taking all the jobs and stuff and things of that nature, I think that's just a fantasy, bro. Honestly, who's really gonna pick the strawberries and do the mad hour laboring in the sun? Who's gonna build the roofs? Who's gonna do all those things in general? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're skilled or qualified in those fields or got some former experience under your belt in the career that you're in and things of that nature. But honestly, my thing is on the American Dream, bro. It depends where you want to go with it. It can be a false narrative, it can be a fantasy, or it can be true reality, a different perspective. Immigrants aren't taking the job, bro, to an extent. Yes, we got a lot of foreigners who come over here on visas and college and stuff of that nature, and they're doing a far more better job than most of us are, because there's been plenty of times where I've traveled everywhere, and it's controlled by different foreigners. Not nothing wrong with that, not bad people. I can't complain about it. Especially with my dad being half Latino, Latino black, and me and my sister being mixed and all the things of that nature. And I hate that term when they say, "Oh, immigrants are taking jobs and stuff." It's like they're not taking jobs; they're just working harder at getting it. And when they get the job, they're working 10 times as harder on the job. And it's like, you can't preach this to everybody, because not everybody's a go hard, go getter, things of that type of quota. Things of that motivation. I use it as a motivation sometimes. How to say this, like, anybody can live their American dream, and this is my American dream. Is doing what I can to save money, saving money, paying off bills and debt, going after it, working every day, work hard and work smart. Want to work smart more, make more money. Getting up, going for a jog, going for an exercise, a part of my training routine in mixed martial arts. Because I hopefully someday to make a career out of it. Get about $3 million, $4 million under my belt and just retire after that. That man, bro, I tell you, that's just my American dream. I got a little bit more to it, but that's just like a little example, But even with that, I still have a plan, a goal, and I'm still working on achieving that. I'm not using other people as an excuse on my behalf and on my fuck ups. And if I decide not to take myself and my career or what I want to do serious, or what I want to do serious, who am I to blame the next person or the next man or woman for my fuck ups and failures? You know what I'm saying? That's not how I'm trying to go out, bro. That's some bitch made shit. I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. That's really some bitch made shit. And I think we as a people got to stop using that excuse that, oh yeah, immigrants are taking all the jobs and da 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 da. Honestly, you just got to get up every day and go for it, bro. Just like before I moved back to my little town here, before I moved back here to Missouri, I was getting up every day at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at two different jobs on two different occasions. I get up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, walk an hour and a half in fucking work boots or regular shoes, depending where I was working at and what type of job I was working in. And then I would just go to work. Yes, I've seen crazy shit happen while I was walking to work. Sometimes I've seen shit happen. It was weird and things like that nature, but that's just the price of not having a car, walking dead in the morning. It's still nighttime basically, and things of that nature, bro. The unexpected is expected to happen in the jungles, bro. No matter where you go, bro. Honestly, like I said, anybody can achieve the American dream. It just depends. How do you want to set yourself up in life? How do you want to go about things? Are you gonna just use excuses every time you fuck up? Are you just gonna blame the next man, the next woman? Are you gonna blame blame your kids because you're the one who decided to lay down and have kids, and now that's taking up most of what you thought you had planned and what you wanted to do in life? Fuck everything else up. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think that's a false victim uh mentality mindset that a lot of us need to work on, and it's not easy, bro, especially the economy, bro. And that's one thing consideration too. That's one thing in consideration. You know, we live in a shitbox economy. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I definitely understand that. But who says you have to live in that reality? You know what I'm saying? Who says you have to stay in that shitbox life? No one's telling you to do that. Yeah, you're gonna have obstacles and people tell you that you can't do it, or it's gonna be too hard, or you have to do this instead of doing that. Just make time for yourself to figure out what you want to do. Um, while we're in this, we are all in this situation. Some of us. It's not by proxy, but it's kind of designed by nature. And being in the survival instinct. Um, it's definitely American dream. It's not a perfect American dream, but it's decent. But whatever makes your American dream perfect, whatever makes your dream perfect, run with that, go for that, stick with that, work hard for it. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm planning on keep. That's what I'm gonna keep striving for. Honestly, that's all this really should really comes down to as a guy, bro. You know, any and this is speaking from a guy's perspective, having the knowledge to know that no one's gonna be there for you in the end, bro. It's as a guy, it sounds a bit harsh, or some people are in delusion about it, unfortunately. But it's the simple fact, knowing that no one's gonna be around you, no one's gonna be there for you, as a man, when shit hits the fan, or when it comes to an end, or when you're in the middle of building a project or whatever the case may be, or whatever your blueprint is. It's just you tend to start alone. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, I mean, you might meet a few guys down the road, in that journeyman road, and whatever career you're in. But like I said, that's just a typical American day, or just the American dream. To be honest with you, um, I just make life a little easier by just and then like the gas prices. We just, if you know that you gotta save up and cut back on certain spending funds, bro, and that means cutting out traveling, cutting out going out to eat, cutting out cutting out certain things, or whatever the case may be that we all hate. Sometimes we gotta put things on the back burner. You know, that's where we're gonna have. That's what you gotta do. Put things on the back burner and save what you really need to get from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's gas, whether it's food, bills, insurance, emergency money. You know, and some people just don't have the American dream because they gave up, and I don't blame them. It's stressful, bro. It's just everything going on. You're trying to figure out what's the next plan, what's gonna happen next. Is there gonna be another government shutdown? There's all those things of that nature. And my thing is, don't worry, don't stress over it. just continue what you're doing, bro, to make money and survive. Until you're out of that survival mindset. You know, it's unfortunate a lot of us who will live here in America are in that survival mode mindset. You know, unfortunately, um, but it is what it is what it is, bro. Like I said, this is my American dream. Like I said, just going to work, saving up money enough where I can get rid of bills and get rid of debt, a little bit, you know, well, really debt. What else? Going to training, hopefully to make a career out of it. What I would love to do, training and fighting, and then just just training martial arts in general. Um, Peaceful life. You know, it sounds a little bit too easy, too comfortable, whatever the case may be, in the sense that in those words. But it's the journey that's being done behind it. It's the journey that's being worked on behind all those wants, and needs. Um, but yeah, like I said, I think I just got a little bit motivated wanting to do this video because we have to get out of that fucking mindset, bro. These immigrants and American dream and jobs. I mean, if you really think about it, it ain't even the immigrants taking the jobs. They're barely getting fucking jobs, bro. You know what I'm saying? They come over here for jobs. I understand that, but then what happens when the government decides to push this job back to a different country? Now the whole town's out of a job, and that country's got a job. So that means the people that were in those towns, other foreigners in the town, are gonna leave that town to go back to their country or wherever near that's close like that job. It's just all, and it has a domino effect. You know what I'm saying? It's just they get hit worse than us sometimes, but when they do, they work their ass off, bro, saving money, and I respect that. I don't try to get all to the negative thoughts and oh yeah, it's just just basic negative shit. It's pointless, bro. It's not gonna make you no money if you're not figuring out a way to make money on your own. You know what I'm saying? And you're always consistently thinking about the next man, how he's getting money in his pockets. You're gonna be forever stuck in your own loop, jealousy and hate. Man, that's just ridiculous, bro. It's stupid. I get it's a defense mechanism, and even if it is that way, it don't even have to be like hatred. It can be just like, damn, I gotta get like that. I can understand that more. Okay, I see what he's doing, respectfully. And then with our egos and shit, we can't be, oh, fuck this next man when you can be learning from the next man. You ain't gotta do exactly what he does. Take everything with a grain of salt, but if he gets you the best advice that he can and how he did his stuff, yeah, man, bro, that's all it really takes. And that's a part of the American dream. Part of the American dream is, um, my theory is getting certain information that can make your life a little better day by day, each day. Um, and it'd be nice to drive a nice car or a car, period. It'd be nice to sit in a big ass house, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you gotta realize where that comes from, where all that comes with. I mean, unless you got the bread to fucking pay all that shit off and not worry about other shit, that's different. But it would be nice to ride in a nice car or just a nice big house, decent house, nice little land or whatever the case may be. Go out to eat every so often here and there. Not have to worry about bills and stress and debt. Not have to worry about if the environment that you're in is fucked up or not. Is this school safe for my kids to go? Is this job safe for me to go? You know what I'm saying? You know, there are some people who want to move to the city to get away from all the deers because they hit so many cars in so many years. There's some people who rather just move to the fucking country, small town, or whatever, just to get away with this shit that's going on in the city. Everybody has a different American view and American dream. To an extent, and I think fantasy wise, anything is possible. Let's just start right there too. Anything is possible that you put your mind to. Anything you put your mind to, whether it's fantasy or not, if it's good and it has, if it has depending what your intentions are,